We were assessing how they were looking in their previous match, and what they decided to do instead was chain dive bottom lane turret. And that is not a scuttle crab, and that seems to be working out better for them.
Yeah,
so,
that's a little stronger, I think.
Yeah, we'll need to make sure that we're observing that side of the map to see exactly where things are going to go wrong here. But let's dive into the draft and get into it. Game number 1 of this best of 5. And we do have DRX with first pick. As you can see here, that means that they'll be on the red side. I actually have a feeling that they'll be on the red side throughout this entire series. We know the D+, they really like pick and blue, and so they will probably stay there regardless of whether they get first pick or not.
We do see the Pantheon and Jarvan bans targeted towards Lucid right away here on the first pick side of things for DRX. The Varus will go first, and I think Rumble will follow.
Yeah, this is a really interesting one because that means that Jace or Malphite are likely to get through unless we're going to give up the Rumble ban or something like that.
Well, I think right now, for me, that Jace is no longer really viable in the jungle. He's not a strong pick like he was once before, and the Malphite's a little bit more niche, so the Nocturne ban is quite interesting here. We might be looking more towards the Orianna Azir type of trade as the Rumble gets banned here now by DRX. And now that you've banned the Nocturne, obviously the first pick Azir stocks go up quite substantially. And so let's see what D+ want to do, because if they want to trade those, DRX obviously has first priority on the pick. Yeah. So they will pick the Azir. So what's this ban going to be? You have to wonder now. Maybe a Yunara ban if they don't want to play it themselves. And that's what they'll do.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be. I actually have a weird theory about the Azir. And I think that perhaps like either it'll be second round pick. This is obviously going to be something like an Orianna for UCal, as first pick Orianna has been one of the most common things that DRX have gone for, especially in game 1s. But is this going to be the Azir? Or does Showmaker go for something that's a little bit more of a counter to the Orianna in lane? We know Ori does decently into the pitch.
That's a decent question. I'm actually surprised with no Nocturne here that they picked the Orianna over the Azir, but you mentioned playstyle-wise, that has been how DRX have been playing, and a lot of those skirmishes in the bottom lane have gone the way of DRX as a result of that, because of the powerful laning phase and the faster roam. This is not a surprise. This is a strong flex pick between Lucid and Shiu, and honestly, if they have something else prepared for Showmaker, they could even lock right now, since the mid's already in play, Lulu, and take it away and empower this Ambessa pick and look for a strong bottom 2v2 through the Lulu as well. It's something we haven't really seen teams do too much. This is a similar idea, and Andil has been target banned with this Bard so many times. They'll just take it away from him.
Yeah, I actually really like this. I do like Lulu Ambessa. It's kind of my favorite thing, but this is taking such a strong weapon away from DRX because Andal has been so incredibly good. And now Korea can demonstrate whether he has got some of that Bard energy in him in this best of 5. Now to round out the first round of picks here for DRX, could just be the top side of the map that they do lock in, as jungle is theoretically open, but instead looking towards the bottom side as Andal, he really likes throwing anchors. You mentioned it already, Wolf. He will never give up an opportunity to be Nautilus and
crazy
to throw a hook.
How much success he's had just playing Nautilus into range supports in the bottom lane, because he does make those all-ins work, and Gio has really leveled up his 2v2 laning phase and is able to follow up on those engages a lot better than what we saw from him last year. So most bottom lanes I wouldn't trust this, and I still don't think it favors them, and the 2v2 will likely see here, but very powerful. The Azir will ultimately just come through in this third slot. They're not going to push an 80 carry up into that spot here to try to combat the Corki.
Yep. Also holds onto the flex pick of the Ambessa. I kind of like that as well. But I was expecting an 80 carry pick to come on through.
It's now really tricky if you are DRX to try to ban here what D+ have, because you are probably focused on 80 carry in this scenario. But there's just so many viable picks here in game 1 that work well with Bard. So to try to, you know, ban Ezreal, which, yeah, okay, you can do that, but there's still a lot viable here, right? Like, and you're not even playing a dive comp necessarily, so the Ezreal isn't even that strong for D+ in this angle. But I think D+ have so many more cards hidden that it becomes a little bit more challenging, whereas you can just ban top prio picks here like the Renekton pretty easily if you're D+ Gia.
I do like the Ezreal ban just because of D+'s playstyle. They don't like peeling, they like killing.
Like, this is so free, though. The Gwyn Renekton ban for D+, like, those two can do quite well into Ambessa and are also very strong blind. So I do think that's very smart. The Sivir I like, because Silverbard is very problematic to deal with.
Yep. And also, Sivir Azir is just kind of ridiculous wave clear and things like that. It's very hard to push in. And we know, DRX kind of went through a bit of a slog in their last matchup.
Now you can play almost anything here if you are D+. So you could go even Kai'Sa, and because you have the Bard, you can get through the laning phase. They'll go for the Jhin.
Jhin, pretty classic lane.
This makes me feel like the Mbessa is probably going top lane, because you're going to want those additional stats to have that hard engage for the Jhin that you're not going to have if you're in the jungle. You won't be able to have as many items as quickly. You won't have to farm, and the levels are going to feel really nice. And I think DRX are happy to play the Xin Zhao here. Blind, it's a great front line for them, great ball carrier, best available. Ooh. Now this is a little tricky.
That's a bit of fun. So the cannon coming out into the theoretical Mbessa.
They agree, I think, that they think this Mbessa is going top, but this gives D+ now the opportunity to switch it up, and they will.
Yeah, and it looks like Jason to the top lane is going to be coming on through, and a lot of those nerfs that we did see were based on Jungle Jace, and so him towards the top side, which we have already seen, is likely to be the answer here.
It's
so
really,
a bit of double ranged.
It's really risky to play Jace top, but I think into this draft, it can work incredibly well because you already have the Mbessa for engage with the Bard to mess up some of the setup here for D+. And if you think you can play this matchup confidently enough, if you can walk that tightrope, don't overextend, track the enemy jungler, keep an eye on where Willer is at all times because he wants to be winning the bottom lane because they don't have a range support down there. He needs to be focused there. You can generate a significant lead, get your ult quest online faster, and then the Mbessa is going to be your primary form of hard engage here to set up the Jhin. I think DRX read this well with the Kennen pick, but the problem is when you go for first pick, these things can always just flip, and that was why that Kennen pick was so risky, because even though we assumed that with this Jhin pick, the Mbessa was likely going top, they can swap that at the end and say, well, we have a strong top lane now instead.
That's actually very clever, the way that they've done it. But the thing that I really like about both of these drafts is that the win condition, or the way that they're going to play out team fights is so incredibly different. Like, a lot of what D+ wants to do is a lot of smoke and mirrors, right? You want to be able to find those shots, get the snipes through, land the poke, make things happen, and then finally the Azir swoops in and mops them up. It's very tempo reliant, right? If they do fall behind, there's just, it's a juggernaut. We're just going to walk at you and press R buttons composition coming out of DRX. And I don't think the team fighting power in a front-to-back sense is going to be there from D+, like what DRX has. And so if they can play the game on their terms, this could be DRX doing it again and wiping out another top team.
미니언들이 생성되었습니다.
All right, so I may have overspoke there just a little, because of course if they win this game, it is just 1-0, and theoretically D+ could come back and win the next game. But I mentioned earlier that D+ have been a little bit prone to chaining losses together. As Gio is already barriering, and Smash has already finished his, as we are just fighting here in this bottom lane.
Andil going for the Ignite. They just wanted to all in at level 1, but Gio ends up getting the worst end of this trade with the heal coming back from Career.
And flash advantage here for Career as well. And so a Flash Cosmic binding, something like that, they have to really check their angles. And you can see this ward still in the brush. Fourth shot going to connect. And DRX in a lot of trouble here. Like, we already said it. Like, Jhin Bard is a terrifying lane. And that starts at level 1.
I get the idea here because it is a really, really unfortunate lane to play into when you're playing into the Bard. You opted into this, so you know you have to trust those all-ins. But the Ignite take here does not really end up working out in their favor. It's not a horrible scenario for them, but it's definitely not a favorable one either. And so as a result, we are going to see tons of lane control here. In fact,
oh, the flash forward there from Korea as they do manage to get the first blood. Korea will sacrifice himself for it as Deadly Flourish is just walked away from. As Smash in melee range with Andil is not exactly what he wants to do. Flashes eventually in order to get out of the way, but Andil, he's the one that stands tall.
Yeah, unfortunately for Gio, a lot of lost minions though, and Andil is going to misread this, go to the bottom side, so it's a freebie for Smash. We'll get out. Like would have gotten out either way, but we'll escape this way through the top side, and bit of a fiery start in the bottom lane. And
I don't know whether it's good. Is it good, Wolf? Like,
is at the end of the day, like when you look at this as, yeah, this is a win streak, although it's a bit of a niche pick. Look at how things eventuate. considering the scenario before this for Geo, I think it's actually slightly better for DRX than it was if we didn't trade. Because now they're in a position where they can actually get access back to that wave. The CS is going to kind of even out a little bit here. And Career had flash advantage. He used it to trade kills. And now we've kind of reset here.
And both of the kills went to supports as well. So it's not like Smash gets the kill, but then the follow-up is Andil or something like that. It's evenly traded between the two that didn't necessarily want the most of that money.
If Smash was able to get another wave or something before backing, or grab a plate after the play instead of running away and also having to flash, then it would have felt much better. But he also had to flash there because of Andil. So yeah, I think it's a slight net negative for D plus on that one.
Yeah. That being said, they do still have a slight gold advantage after that wave is mopped up. You can see it does go down in favor of them to push them to about 5 minions in surplus. As Andil here waiting around, you saw Geo actually going back for another cheeky back, so needed to collect his tier. Does so, will be able to start stacking that one up. That doesn't exactly give him combat power here in this lane, as Smash really wanted to walk a little bit faster. So he will have those shoots now collected.
Top lane, Willer has a potential angle here.
Yeah, but another anchor is going to connect. Andil just threads the needle, and Smash is so dead. Geo going to be able to pick that one up.
And this is the problem with losing that flash on the Jhin in the exchange at the end there. That flash is so much more valuable, and you had such a tempo lead in the lane. You reset things on the flashless Jhin. Like I said, Andil, he takes every hook he can, but he does not miss. And if you're going to stand like that and get caught flashless, you are going to pay the price.
Yeah, and this is what I was kind of thinking, right? Because when you're the ones that have the range advantage, when you're playing in the neutral and you're just going to win in general, you don't need to die.
Yeah, you just need to whittle them down.
To keep them away from the wave.
You know, when you're in a favorable position, you know, you don't need to actually just go for the all-in, right? Like, it was...
The pressure wasn't on them.
Exactly. Andil, for example, went for the all-in at level 1 with his Ignite pick because the pressure was on them, right? Like, they're the ones who have to make a call like that in this lane. And as it turns out, ends up being a big backfire. Once again, Geo is gifted a lead in the early game by his support Andil.
And this is actually kind of massive, right? Because we know Corki just gets so good on 2 items. And to be accelerated like this after things were looking dire, this is a huge deal. As now DRX moved to about a 300 gold lead. It's not really much of anything at all, but all of the action has been in this bottom side. And we also know that Jhin just doesn't feel that good as the game goes on.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they have fallen behind with this pick just kind of compounds that negative feeling.
Well, it's a free dragon that comes as a result of it as well.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Lushiu's early tempo teleport to grab a longsword, he had it back a second time, and now Rich has level 6 advantage. Well, he's going to use it.
Yeah, that is going to be Xiu taking a lot here from Rich, but he's still got 200 health. Actually goes back in, which is kind of insane, as he flashes to get out of the way of the assumed shuriken.
That was crazy.
Yeah, the fact that he flashed preemptively as good magical journey there from Korea. Smash still moving forward, wanting to find an angle here as Lucid and Showmaker are making their way down. Flash out from Lucid there to avoid the shockwave, which doesn't actually connect. Emperor's Divide now onto 2 as Willa flashes, but he's still going to die. It's the Bard getting another one as Ando likely to go down next, and Geo will be shut down by Smash. Showmaker still on full health after he eats some of that honey fruit, and DK, guess what, Wolf? They found a team fight win around a Scuttle Crab area.
Yeah, the Dragon
and the Scuttle Crab's still alive.
The Dragon goes over to DRX, but the fight promptly a D+ win. And the big part of this is, watch this from Lucid. The flash is insane. Gets away from the shockwave there, and that's a huge part of this early scrapping power here for the side of DRX. And look at how much damage is done. I like Geo's angle here on the Valkyrie. It actually ends up doing a lot of burn damage, but he does no flash to get over the wall. So he ends up going down as well, but really good flash there from Lucid, expecting this play, and that reaction really turned the fight around. And unfortunately for Yukali, just wasn't able to do as much as he would have liked there. It does pick up a kill in the end.
Yep. I mean, as soon as the shockwave does 0, then things are going to go terribly in the fight. It's just kind of how it goes. As right now, Showmaker being able to take that advantage to the bank. 1-0-2 now on the Azir, and will be probably still even on farm, but you can see Yukao looking a little worse for wear underneath this turret. And with mid-priority, like, this is how DK look good, right? They play around Showmaker. He's very good at pushing advantages as Cosmic Binding does go wide. And this has also helped alleviate the issues on the bottom side. Even though Jiu still has a slight lead, it is now back to even as Deadly Flourish does come through. A hook is going to uncharacteristically miss here from Andil.
The Smash keeps it cool there. Knows the angle. Doesn't have to flash or anything like that. His flash is back up now, so they can play a little bit more aggressively. Now Lucid's going to try to take this bottom side prio here and look for a blue steal.
Yeah.
Invade, I should say.
As Korea has swept things out, Hook is going to connect immediately onto him, wants to take that magical journey, and he might be able to do so, but I still think he's dead, as Willa can just take it as well, and you can see a little bit frustrated in the player cams there on for Korea, who was just a little bit too far forward.
Wanted to assist to make sure that blue was taken by
Really
Lucid.
good fast response from Gio to make sure that he was there as well.
Yeah, 100%, and the magical journey, you could follow that, of course, so no real escape for Korea, who was flashless. Stayed a little bit too long.
All right, Jiu fighting against Smash once again, but taking that burst as there's the curtains. Jiu looking for an angle here, does try to get out, and the Valkyrie will be able to do so. As stuck between a rock and a hard place here, ladies and gentlemen, as Jiu kind of realizing he's trying to work out what he can do. Flash is available for both of them, and there it is. Smash just needs one more, and there it is! Through the barrier, says the fourth bullet. No worries there at all.
I think Gio should have barriered the previous bullet and flashed, and maybe, I don't know, there's not really much you could do in that scenario, but he waited till the last possible second. The damage is real on the fourth shot, though, and that barrier isn't enough.
Yeah, that was just a little bit sad. Like, you saw it. Gio was like, well, I mean, if I go the other direction, I'm dead. As Xiu's going to get locked up into the air. In goes Willa, looking to try and take him down. And they will be able to grab that kill. Andil just very comfortably tanks up the turret. And even though he wasn't there to defend Jiu there on the bottom side, he's able to kill Xiu on the top side.
Well, we're already over a kill per minute here, pre-10.
That's what we like to see.
And it is a very exciting start. Trying to quantify the lead is a little bit more difficult, as in terms of gold, we are dead even, but where the gold is where you have to really point your finger. Is top side advantages have meant much less so far here in the early days of LCK Cup in 2026. But, you know, the bigger lead, I think, in this mid lane for Showmaker is what's really going to be what we're keeping our eyes on moving into this mid game.
Yeah, there's another shockwave that's just going to get unstoppable by Lucid. I mean, throwing it to the guy that can just avoid the CC is probably suboptimal. However, they wanted to make sure that they could get the second dragon as well, and with Lucid having no ultimate, maybe there's going to be an opportunity there. Shock Blast does go wide, as Rich taking a bit of damage and electrocute here is now Korea face checking. Not sure about that one, but it's Willa that's taking the brunt of this. Deadly Flourish from Smash as he's looking for a flank angle. As we know the Lucid doesn't have the public execution, but DRX members are getting so low, and the Cosmic Binding connects onto Gio. He's in melee range, and now he is dead as Showmaker looks to get out of there and will be able to do so, but now the stun lands onto Willa as well. Cosmic Binding after the flash is going to miss, though, and Smash just needs a little bit more for that bullet. Andil read him like a book as there's the curtains being called yet again. As Smash just really wanting to try and take down Willa, but thankfully there is a big, big daddy in the way.
Smash is like, maybe he's not blocking for him. Let's check and
see. Exactly. He's like, maybe he'll just like walk early, you know, because he's a fucking war.
Maybe, you never know. Did not happen in this case. Is Rich going to go for another all in here?
Yeah, there's a slicing maelstrom onto Xiu. He's going to try and turn it as best he can. Does get the boot back, and down goes Rich. But man, it was so close.
Yeah, a bit of a coin flip on that one in terms of how close it was. I thought Rich had it calculated with the stun coming through, but he did not have
5 HP.
Wow.
Reports G-Sun from backstage. Oh my goodness.
He just did not have that extra 5 damage he needed, and the difference this makes is massive. Not only the kill, but the plate that goes over, the denied farm. Rich does not have TP. Going back to this fight here, I want everyone to watch, okay, initially going into this one, Career takes a lot of damage, but Gio here comes in and then they try to go for Lucid, and he puts himself completely out of position here. I think they should have just tried to push towards the top side of the fight and front to back a little bit more here. Instead, he just completely isolates himself from the rest of his team. The Tempered Fate allows Showmaker to escape freely, and they get these chase kills here as well. So watch this. This is from the perspective of Xiu, as in live, another all-in the bottom lane.
Yeah, in the meantime, even more happening, but let's have a look at it. Stun came down and gets the boot back, and the put in the works auto attack to take him down, and yeah, that'd be my reaction as well.
That's like a huge momentum swing in the top lane, because Rich had been constantly been able to apply that pressure and was really generating a significant lead up there, and now it's just completely gone.
And now Willer is trying to take some more of these grubs, as Empress Divide does get the flash out from Willer. As Lucid not interested in finishing these grubs off and actually just wants to come over and kill this Xin Zhao. He's only level 8 to the level 9 of Lucid here, and I think that he can just walk in and take his stuff. He's a bit of a bully here. And that is just going to be the red buff taken down. Smite wasn't even there.
Yeah, neither of them had it.
As he can just walk in, and it's like everything just belongs to him. He is the schoolyard bully.
This timing for Showmaker's back's a little risky. So
Tempered Fate going to eat the entire lightning rush as the flash does have to come out there from Rich. Rear is just everywhere in this game.
They may be able to make something happen here around Grubs, DRX that is, with Rich having the ult available. Not going to chase any further in terms of the fight. We'll be able to secure the final part of the Grubs there. And it was a tense moment there with the Tempered Fate being used. A little bit laissez-faire there. It ended up being high value, except stopping the lightning rush.
Yeah. And getting a flash out of a cannon is always
good. It's just that the eventual objective doesn't go their way.
Yeah.
And I thought they would maybe try to look for a broader team fight there with the group up they had.
It looks like they just don't care about Grubs at all. They didn't seem very interested. So they managed to steal away the enemy red buff. That's what they really wanted. And then able to get themselves back out onto the map. You can see Nash's Tooth is now done for Showmaker, as well as a couple of Ghost Blades here for both Smash and Shiu. It's an interesting composition because there is a lot of physical damage and yet double lethality items coming out first here. It does mean that if there is any armor that can be built, then it's going to be very valuable. The problem is there's no tanks to build it outside of Andal. So they're not really going to get punished for that. As Andal just going to get pirouetted on here by Lucid.
Look at the lead that in farm that Lucid has right now over Willer. It's pretty insane with all the camps he's been able to steal away. Very frustrating to deal with. Gio's at least going to help defend this Gromp here, but that is going to be a free blue buff as Willer is nowhere near. Does not have Hex Gates or anything like that, so another one bites the dust. Lucid just picking up a ton of extra money, as well as the ability to clear the jungle faster with his blue buff that he just picked up.
And gives a blue over to Showmaker as well, so...
Yeah, it's a lot of small advantages really starting to stack up here against DRX, and could feel the pressure, like Rich's face cam earlier. We saw that. Andal as well looking a little bit frustrated because I think they knew they were gifted such a significant advantage in this early game and then kind of botched the execution on a few of these fights and skirmishes that now lead to they don't have a lead anywhere, right? It was before, okay, Showmaker's the big problem. Well, we got our bottom lane stable. No longer the case there. Top lane was a pretty big advantage for Rich. Obviously losing that 1v1 with 5 health means that that's a huge issue now there on the top side. As now the Herald has spawned. We are seeing a group up here for DRX, and they have their combo at the ready, but they do not have their AD carry, and Shiu does have teleport, so if D+ can stall this out, they can, I think, definitely secure this.
Yeah, and it's been really interesting the way that DK have been setting up around objectives. As soon as they see DRX approaching, they don't want the fight. It feels like DK understand that if they catch DRX on an objective themselves, they can get the setup and the flanks, then it can work. And otherwise, they want to avoid that sort of front-to-back team fight. The turn is not necessarily as good. And I kind of like it, the identification of what this composition can do. As Tempered Fate to turn off this turret, Rich just has to get out of there with the Lightning Rush. Not too much more going to come of it, but the Rift Herald does go over to D+. That's their time.
Do get the first turret on the bottom side of the map, though, for Gio, and he picks up a ton of money and actually picks up a gold lead because of it.
Big one, too.
So D+, you know, they decided we're going to play the side lane top side. Took a lot longer, though, to do it, and because of the bottom side control that Willer had, like, they pushed Shiu out of the lane, got the turret, and they're going to pick up a dragon here.
Whoa, Flash Depth Charge does come on through as the public execution. I don't know whether he really wanted to go that way as Lucid flashes and dies. And the Drake is taken on the other side. DRX with multiple wins across the map.
And maybe even potentially more here.
Yeah, remember, Gio took down the turret. And so Shiu is likely just dead as well. The Flash is also employed, but it's not going to save him, and Gio gets another kill. He may have died 4 times, but he's starting to make some money.
I mean, this game has been so much, it's such a quintessential DRX game. Almost all of the success they have had since the group battle has been they find punish plays. This team has been the most punishing team in postseason here for LCK Cup. If you make a mistake, you go over the line, they will catch you. That was a super bizarre decision there to try to look for the return. And then down here, She was like, okay, I guess they got the dragon, they're probably going to back, but has no information, and just walks up here to try to farm and gets taken out. So much money's given over to the Corki. They get the second dragon, they got first turret. Rich has freedom in the top lane now as well with Xiu dead. They are just winning everywhere, and it's a massive swing. Now the gold is dead even.
Yep. Teleport does come on through, as you can see, the Tempered Fate not able to stop Rich from going home. And so he does get that teleport out there. A bigger cooldown to be employed, but does keep himself alive, and that is certainly good news. Showmaker down here defending this turret, and he has been quite quiet, and I think that that might have been leading to some of the issues that DK have had, as they haven't been able to translate this large lead that Showmaker has into getting very much more. But it's really clever from DRX, right? Avoid the money and take down the rest of them to try and build up your own coffers, and it's Xiu that has that heading closer and closer towards those two items and is now actually looking for a back. We'll see whether it's going to be enough for him to pick up his Manamune, as he's very, very close to max stacks for the Muir Mana as well. As another anchor is going to connect onto Korea. He's taking a lot of damage, has to flash to get himself out. Magical Journey, a very short one, as the curtains have now been called. Xiu is now having Smash in point-blank range. Doesn't exactly get to use all of these, as there's a great shockwave onto Lucid to take him out. Finally, he kills the Ambassador with that ability, as Xiu realizes the rest of his team's here, and DK are not, and DRX win a team fight as well.
I thought Showmaker was signed for multiple years here for D+. Thought he's the showmaking, playmaking maker, but he's just not showing up to these scraps. He's not showing up to these skirmishes at all to stand in the side lane, and they need him. He's the major gold lead. He's the big threat. He's the one who can split these fights up with Emperor's Divide, and he is just AFK in this one. Yeah. I'm not to blame him, because the win con for them is to split, is to get the Azir fed, use that side lane win con, but he doesn't have grubs, so it's taking a little bit longer. In this fight, they were so all in on the Nautilus with the channel there from Smash. He wasn't able to really offer any damage. Xiu was just like, all right, well, I'll just eat your barrier and shove onto you. You have to back off, and then we collapse back in. Ando goes for the re-engage hook when he's super low. Ando's confidence is unreal. He's 3-1-5. He's picked up so many of these kills. He starts this off onto career, and then Showmaker doesn't want to, can't TP in now, right? But as the Orianna has the faster rotation, he could have opted for it, but instead he's just like, nah, you guys can take care of this. I'm just going to keep pushing bottom side here. Ando gets this re-engage hook. Yukao shows up to the fight. Showmaker does not. Smashes at half health because of that exchange with Xiu, and Willer could just hard push into the front line here. And this is just a disaster for D+.
Yep, and Xiu was there, and Rich wasn't. And so the fact that D+ lost yet another kill, and it wasn't exactly a man advantage or anything like that for DRX, it was just the fact that the money was not there for DK. So they're going to have to fix it, and DK, after, you know, figuring things out in the early game, they won that early skirmish, got a little complacent. And if you're a DK fan, you'll understand that's happened before. She was just really dead. Rich just finds him, presses R, and down goes the Jace.
This Jace is a very fragile pick, and it is not safe in side lanes in this meta. I think part of why we're seeing the Jace fall off, like, we used to be picked as a counter pick in controlling top lane in so many matchups, but it has just fallen off in a big way. Even with the buffs this patch, I was like, I think we'll see it as a niche pick, but into the Kennen here, once you fall behind, can't just get all in. He was obviously having a bit of a struggle in the early lane, but if the jungle shows up, we saw Willer earlier, you're just so fragile. He's 1-4 now. He's so far behind.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think back to, you know, D+ of old, Noguri certainly did like a good old 1-4 Jace, but it does not necessarily work out. So we'll see whether D+ can get some relevance out of Xiu here. Rift Herald did get a little bit of a charge, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
But not able to take the turret down.
Look at the map, though. I mean, they get the charge, but Yukao looks like he's going to get a whole turret, and they don't get the turret in mid lane, and they don't have a play here.
Well, Hook going to connect onto Showmaker as he gets knocked up. Tempered Fate to keep him safe. As now Lucid looking for an angle. Flash out of the way from Andal to avoid the deadly flourish. And that is just going to be disengage here from DRX as the Drake is going to come up. It would be soul point for DRX. But control of the area belongs to D+ at the moment.
Yeah, it's going to take him a while, though. Rich going in.
Yeah, Ghostblade.
I mean, Yukao has his ultimate at the ready here. This could be absolutely a favorable fight for DRX. Yukao has the time to come back in. Got an extra rod.
Well, in goes Xiu, looking to take down Andal, and he does successfully do that, but he'll sacrifice himself for it.
Top laner for support on a fight like this. I'm not sure if that's the trade he was looking for. Showmaker has to save this.
I mean, Andal is very important, though, for DRX. Otherwise, they don't have very much engage. So maybe that's going to be enough to give DK the confidence. I think without the Jace, though, can get problematic, but Slicing Maelstrom's back up. Rich has flash. He could win the game for them right here. Shockwave connects onto Lucid. He does still have the public execution. As in goes Showmaker, and he looks for the angle. He gets on top of G. The public execution is there as well, and the curtains, they have been called for DRX, but 2 are already down. And without Lucid and Showmaker, DK have no way of winning a fight, as it's almost the Drake take there from the Deadly Flourish, but it does not come through. So a 1 for 3, and DRX can do no wrong.
I think D+ should have decided to opt out. So we're going to go all the way back to this play here with Rich. Goes straight onto the Jace, 100-0. See you later. And then this fight, it's Showmaker looking for the angle, and he and Lucid coordinated so brilliantly, but the problem is there just isn't any long-term damage if Showmaker sacrifices himself for the engage, because you have a Jhin. You talked about it in the draft. It is so hard to front to back these team fights if you're not in a really favorable position. Lucid's so low that he has to sack himself as well when the engage comes through. Look at this from Showmaker. Great angle. Jin's already ulting. Lucid's got the angle as well. They're all coordinated, right? All 3 of them. But the sacrifice isn't worth it when, you know, we're still like, all right, well, we have Dragon Control, and thank you very much for the favorable trade plus Dragon. And now they're on sole point in this game. It's starting to look a little rough here for D+. The win cons are really starting to thin out, and Showmaker has spent a lot of time in side lanes. I think he's going to have to continue to do so, but they will have to show up for this next Dragon 100%.
And this is the thing that's a little bit scary, because this could mean a lot for DK, as Lucid's just dead again. Willer is going to turn that into another one onto Showmaker here at the same time. He tries to shift the sands as Shiu, just one more auto and he's going to be going down, but Showmaker's dead on the other side of the map, and DK are falling apart at the seams.
Shiu could maybe have an angle here. Nah, I don't think so.
Yeah,
Rich is not even going to flash for the kill. He's like, taking this win, getting your flash is more valuable. They're going to take Baron on the top side. Everyone rotated bottom side trying to bail out the Jace, but there's nothing bottom side. This is just a free Baron.
Yeah.
DRX are running circles around D+ right now.
Wait.
And he does die to minions.
Did he die to a minion? Is that what happened?
There's, I guess that's the only explanation. He was.
I mean, Rich doesn't have an extra kill, right? So,
yeah.
Okay. Right.
Well, all right, so you mentioned it from the start, and this fight is just Lucid getting caught, right? They started the engage off without setup. They did not have the setup this time, and Showmaker was not in position to ult. So you were leading into it before this happened, though. The collapse of D+ sometimes in these series, the mental collapse that we often see, as she starts this off with a teleport interrupt.
The teleport, right.
And the Rich is like, okay, but I'm happy for that. All right, let's see what happens here.
This is the important part. It's what happens afterwards.
Yeah, it's too many minions.
Oh, wait. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, okay. Dies to the minion wave. There you go. Well, he's just, you know, he hasn't played really squishy top laners in a while. You know? It's Jace has been out of the meta.
DRX, I really truly feel so far here in playoffs / play-ins has just been the bar you have to be better than. And if you just kind of mess up or you're a little sloppy, they will obliterate you, it turns out. And in this game, it's just the same case here for D+.
And I think they just operate super well with, you know, the underdog buff. Is this DRX, they just punch harder than you expect. And DK are the team that are just... Yeah, they often get caught by teams like that as Tempered Fate goes wide, Deadly Flourish gets flashed, and Rich going to keep himself alive. Shiu in a lot of trouble as he's going to have to get out of there. Andal probably not wanting to go for that one as he is taking a lot of damage from Showmaker. As DRX looking to push in with this Baron buff and make it work. 3,000 gold on the Red Bull Baron power play already, putting them at a 6.2k gold lead. DRX, like, I mean, they are just off to the races in this game. It's all right. Let's see whether they can find it. As there is the public execution, but the CC is there, and the Ambessa goes down.
Way too early for the TP flank. Let's see if he can get anything with the
Also,
shot
what
blast.
is a flanking Jace going to do anyway? As Empress Divide comes on through, and Showmaker immediately goes down. She was knocked out of the sky, and DRX is moving forward like a freight train. Smash likely to go down next as Willow looks for the angle. Wind becomes lightning. He's going to go wide, so that spells the end of that. But it is only Smash left alive. The base is going to be broken, and DRX are on the road to doing it again.
Yeah, this is a great start for them here. UCal, a little bit less great on this one.
Like the amount of dying to minions this game is much higher than it should have been.
Yeah, I at least twice.
I know they buffed a few things about like turrets and the amount of like damage you can do to them and stuff like that, but it wasn't the minions, so that's still the same.
There's just so much damage this far behind that you can't solo engage like this, and Showmaker, because he's stuck in the base here, can't actually opt to help out, and Yukal's marked him, right? He's waiting for him. Has the Zonias as well, perfectly timed here. Shiu's flank does a little bit of burst, but it's just ultimately not enough. I'm curious where Yukal ended up picking up a ton of damage here. His career, okay, he's just got the aggro, and then too many minions for him as well. Yikes. Oh no. Doesn't have his abilities, or either doesn't have enough No? What happens? Oh. Yeah.
Right. So he just dies to the turret because he was
the minions weren't close enough
in range of the turret.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's very silly, it's very funny, but DRX, I think, are gonna laugh about it.
I have the feedback for him to avoid that happening, though, and that is don't back under the enemy turret.
He thought the minions were going to cover him. He thought he was okay.
And also Andil thought that he'd be able to tank it for him, but he wasn't able to do that either. So.
You know, Career has an item advantage over Andil right now.
Hey, there you go.
He's got his fancy belt.
He's got a fancy belt. He's got his musical instrument. He's got his cool shield and another cool shield. And some shoes that were free.
I cannot believe that D+, after the turnaround in this game, just got outplayed repeatedly by DRX.
Yeah, like, I mean, I do believe it though, Wolf. We stated this earlier.
But I look at this scenario thinking the reason why I predicted D+ and why I predicted 3-1, by the way, we're still early in this series, but from a microcosm of this one game, was I thought in a scenario like what DRX was in, D+ always wins out. Like, D+ is the better team, they'll come back. It's kind of the opposite in this one, and DRX are suddenly just this insane team-fighting team. Yeah. They're really good at skirmishes, they're really good at mid-game team fights, and you have to respect them. D+ did not, and they found out what that means here in this first game. Is the Nexus is still alive, but I think this lead is just too big now.
And also this composition from DRX is, it just sort of plays itself from this point. Yeah. And we stated it already, the way that these teams are going to be fighting later on in the game is going to be very, very different. And so if you're the one in control, then you're the one that's going to be able to call those shots. And right now it's DRX, so Andil just presses an R button on whoever he likes, and that player will die. That's just kind of how it will go, because they're the ones with the lead. Rich is also just gigantic in this game, even if he doesn't necessarily have a huge gold lead over the 3-7 Jace, which is very funny. It's Willa that is just huge, and he was getting ran around the map in the early game.
Jungle didn't belong to him for half the game.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they did not get a second inhibitor here. So that is, if you're a D+ fan, can breathe a sigh of relief. 2 minutes for the final inhibitor there on the bottom side. It will still be down on the opposite side of the map for Baron, so that's not great, but there is a chance.
Soul as well. Like, Xin Zhao with Mountain Soul, like, does Willa ever die again in this game?
He probably shouldn't, and you have to kill him twice with his GA as well. I am kind of the mind right now that this has been a game where the coordination is, despite some of the great combos we've seen, been misplaced by D+. Like, they've made the decision, okay, we can lock down this one target, let's all go, a few too many times, and Showmaker wasn't there for some of those early fights where they needed him. Now he just can do very little. Like, he's the one who has to somehow stop this Baron, save them, but they have to walk through like 17 wards to get this. They can't. You know, it's too late. Like, there just isn't an angle here. We talk about late game Azir. We talk about Jace Shock Blast warping objectives, but if they can't even get halfway to the Baron, what does it mean? What does it matter?
Well, I mean, they have to try. And there is Rich finding the angle onto Showmaker. The Shockwave connects onto Career, but Showmaker does flash his way out of there. Shiu now getting ulted by Andil, but the knockup collects Career on the way through, and the Jace is separated and destroyed. A double kill just casually there for Shiu, and they'll just saunter back towards the Baron to take it down with ease.
This is looking very different than the last time these two teams matched up against each other. Showmaker down flash now. Baron is going to, you have to think, guarantee this base gets completely trashed here for D+. As Career's trying to set up for a play here and just gets shockwaved, right? Showmaker has to flash, he gets away, but doesn't have an ult angle. Rich just is like, nah, I got you.
Magical journey to death.
Yeah. Less magical than it said on the brochure.
Yeah, indeed. Sometimes you do really get caught out by some of those tours, man. And Rich now has a Void Staff, so this cannon, he was scary before, he's more scary now. And 2 minutes on the Elder Dragon. I don't know whether we're even going to get there. There's a Rebel Baron power play ticking up as we've got 2.5 minutes for DRX to wreak havoc on the DK base.
They also have a comp that 4-1's incredibly well with a lead like this. You know, it's UCal is just going to clear waves insanely fast on the bottom side, and with Rich having his ultimate back up, he's just super safe.
Well,
Gio, on the other hand,
he's going to get booped back by the hammer, but he does offer a lot of damage himself with... He's got a Randuin's.
yeah, he just doesn't want to die.
He really likes Bruiser Corki, doesn't he? But he's taken it, I feel, an extra step with the Randuin's purchase. It's kind of cute, but don't know about it.
No, I mean, the Jason, the Ambessa can't hurt him now, basically.
Yeah, and I guess he just, like, presses the Randuin's button and Valkyries, and then they can't get up to him. It's kind of cute.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, all right, well. He's also got a Mountain Soul, so it's only going to get amplified as well. So I kind of like that as well, a situational purchase as the anchor is going to go wide. Gio is walking a little too fast there for Andal, as just stands in it, does Rich, as he's very happy to be tempered fated. He will get held in position though, and it's Smash that's able to lock down that kill now.
Lucid
the
on the
curtains
flank.
are being called. Let's see whether Lucid can actually find this. There's a couple more bullets left in the chamber. Deadly Flourish connects as they do have Andal, and they avoid the anchor. But now Willa goes in, and we will have to find out whether Willa can actually die. Goes down to the GA to start us off. As the engaged Corki comes in, the Shockwave is going to come through as well, and all the damage is melting. Gio just doesn't take damage. And the Corki finding is actually fantastic, but Lucid, he cannot outfight this. And Andal comes forward. Is that going to be the Quadri? Yes, it is. And down goes the Nexus. Tank Corki, ladies and gentlemen, to take game one for DRX.
Kind of rise to the play-ins into playoffs run that DRX is having right now. Like, no one has really had this improvement arc. DRX started the season off great, right? Like, they were playing close against even Gen.G at the very first week, but they kind of fell off a little bit. Coach comms went away. We had questions. They put against D+ and got completely destroyed, right? But now, this looks like this team can do no wrong. And
안 먹어도 돼, 이거. 다 미사일로 막으러 갈게. 야, 나보다.
물린다.
분명 장각이긴 하는데. 괜찮아?
우리 좀 천천히 해야 될 듯?
아질 하면서 맞춰.
해나 버리고 갈게.
아질 앞에 지들었고.
맞을게. 내가 앞에서 맞을게. 진짜
하드
밀어야 돼.
할만해. 하드 와봐. 진노플.
야, 쌈버긴 해야 될 듯?
천천히. 나 볼게 살짝 이거. 야, 빼면서. 나 좋은데.
볼게.
진노플. 지금부터.
진노플.
아지르 노플. 이거. 앞에서 봐야 돼. 앞에서. 까비. 이렇게 될 것 같아. 나이스.
지우!
긴장했네 오늘.
괜찮아. 나도.